Thank you, Saul. After Alan's talk, I can't help that feel that all of us storytellers are just fluff. So I'm the first fluffer. Not a good position to be in. But I was always thinking about Alan's book, The Rules of Thumb. I use that book constantly. I have 30 of your thumbs in my pocket, really. It's a great book. It helps to contextualize his story, the ups and downs. I've been very inspired by your work, so it's an honor to follow you. In my mode of feeling honored, I'm honored to speak in the presence of Richard Saul Wurman. I've seen you in the audience. I was in Japan, etc. You're always there. Every time you're there, I get nervous. So thank you for your thing, whatever that is. Okay. I appreciate it. So on that note, let's start. My story is a story of learning about a different kind of world, a world that I always knew when I had the fortune of graduating from MIT and going to art school, where I had no computers for a long while, and I was very happy back then, early 90s, and then I came back to technology and became less happy, but by coming to RISD, I'm able to find a different center, and I'll talk about where that center has led me today. So to give you some background, in the early 90s, I was very fortunate to have been something of a misfit. Do you remember the claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where there's that island of misfit toys, was it broken a bit? You know, the Jack-in-the-Box with like one hand like this, you know? That was like me. I was on that island because I didn't quite fit into anything. And when I went to art school, I began to think about computers in a different way, such that when I came back to computers, I was fascinated by this idea of computer programming, which I learned at MIT, but later coming back to it, I was like, wow, what is this way of, so I can actually tell the computer to draw a lot. So this is my first drawing from that period. This is in 1993, where I had the computer draw a bunch of loops, 1,000 loops, 10,000, a million. It happened like within a second, and I was wondering why it never got tired. But that's what computers do. And from that moment, I began to approach the computer differently and began to make all kinds of things for different clients around the world. I was very fortunate because guys like me were somewhat rare. Now they're very common. So, but back then, it was quite an anomaly. And this is all pre-web as well. So you have to remember that pre-web, there was no way to publish this stuff. And my wife would always worry, like, what are you doing? Will anyone want this thing? And luckily because of the web, it all worked out okay. I made different things. I like to play with technology, and I did a bunch of pieces for Google one year in JavaScript. This is my favorite piece for Google. It's called the clock, the about clock. It's for those people who fixate on these kind of displays, 11, 50, 49, 48. This says it's about 11:45 in the morning, or it's about 5 minutes before. It's a very relaxed West Coast clock. If you go to MoMA now, you can see some of my work. It's in the permanent collection, this early work I did, this worrisome work, which I wasn't sure where it would go. You would see there that I had a fascination with things that fly, move around, etc. And it paid the bills at the time. And then I had the fortune of being at MIT as a professor. And when you're a professor, you get this wonderful life to be able to contemplate, think, wonder, imagine, fail, play. And I noticed this weird thing in technology where it wasn't really getting better. It was actually getting worse, but I couldn't figure out how to characterize it. And I got my camera one year, a digital camera, and I was looking at my car and realizing that if you look at the car, it's a lot bigger than the camera. It's like it's a big thing in the car. The camera's so tiny. But when you compare the manuals for the car versus manual for the camera, it's a little bit off, right? So you want to go, how is that? Doesn't make any sense. So from this observation, I became focused on this question of, is anything really getting any better? So reflecting. Some of you remember the first computer. Who had an early computer? First computer, PC, okay, old people. That computer did very little, remember? You'd bring it home, you'd plug it in, did nothing. It had text on it, you would type into it, it would say you're wrong, syntax error, useless device, text, right? And so then, but then something amazing happened. This thing called the CD-ROM, brought to us by the aliens. Powerful technology, 300 megabytes on one side, incredible. And that enabled this revolution to occur of putting media on the computer. It's amazing. You could put like full color images, and then later you could play CD quality sound, and then, oh my gosh, you could watch a movie on your computer. It's incredible. And then remember what happened? The internet happened. Mosaic browser came out. It was text-based. Very few text. It was like text, you know. And then an innovation happened. Bandwidth. It's incredible. You're able to display full color images, and also CD quality sound, and full motion video. It was amazing. And then, a few years later, the mobile phone started to swing away. Text. And then, it was incredible. You can see full color images and sound and movies. It's amazing. So you can't help but wonder, is anything really changing? You know, so this question has bothered me, and it's why I wrote a book on simplicity. And in a moment of peace on Cape Cod's beach, I wrote the word simplicity, and I found the letter MIT in simplicity, and I thought my future was locked. That was going to be my reason to live. And then when RISD called me up, I realized I could never leave MIT because it was in the cards over here, but discovered the letters RISD. So I was able to, so it's okay. So made the switch. And what is this space, this new reason to live I've found? It's the realization that all of you feel today. We are in a recession. We are told by countries all over the world that the way to get us out of the recession is through advancements in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That got us through that gave us the boom. Let's go STEM. STEM is important. Let us put math everywhere, science everywhere. This will get us back to our leadership position. That is why nationwide schools today are closing their art studio classrooms to fit them with chemistry laboratories. And this is kind of a problem, I believe, because if innovation in our country or any country is just STEM, it seems to be missing something. And there was one of our mothers, a RISD parent, said to me, Jackie Boberg said, you know, John, we've got to turn STEM into STEAM. And what does that mean? It means we have to bring art into the equation of STEM. Turn STEM to STEAM. And how do you do that? Well, you have to talk about a different kind of thinking, a kind of thinking I see every day at RISD in our learning environment. Idea-based thinking, not STEM thinking. Intuition, design, emotion, and art as what drives the reason to live in the people that I see every day on campus. So, innovation is not just STEM thinking. It's STEM and idea thinking, and I'm hoping that you'll leave this room thinking about how these two sides have to balance out. This is the challenge today. Now, I will divert because I feel storyish. Excuse me. So I had slides, but I should change because Richard Saul Berman says always be vulnerable, so I've removed my gun. So this is better now. Okay, so he's saying that STEM to STEAM is important. He's saying that this idea thinking is powerful. So, do you have any proof? You know, can you show me somehow that they are somehow equivalent, complementary? Well, I wasn't sure myself if this was really true. Kind of a conjecture, really. But certain things have happened in the last year or so. Certain weird happenings have occurred. For instance, when the recession first hit us hard, the magazine Time published a special story on the kind of companies that will survive in this economy. They highlighted 3 companies, 3 startup companies. And so, I'm looking through the magazine, and I look at the 3 companies, and the second company says, founded by 2 graduates of Rhode Island School of Design. I thought, that's very strange. So I went to the West Coast to see these gentlemen, Joe Gebbia, Brian Chesky, and I said, so wow, that's pretty amazing. He says, yeah, well, we just did it, and it happened. Very humble guys, I said, okay, so I come back to RISD, and I said, that's pretty cool. And then I get an email from a guy, and he says, I missed you on the West Coast at our alumni event. Did you see me in Time magazine? I said, well, your name isn't Joe or Brian, your name is Scott. You weren't in that second company. He says, no, I founded the first company. So that was 2 out of 3 companies. Very strange. I say strange because it was something I first saw and wasn't sure what it was, but I've seen evidence of it all this year in the kind of graduates that come out of RISD, but not just RISD, art and design programs worldwide. They are the kind of misfit that Alan spoke about, people that look for integrity. They are innovative muckrakers. They are not afraid of getting their hands dirty. I swear, you walk on RISD campus, everyone is dirty. because they're seeking truth with their hands in a way that has such integrity. And that kind of desire to feel, touch, breathe, is what I believe people are talking about, needed in innovation today. A kind of innovation you won't find in a technology school or business school. I believe I'm seeing it all the time. And so I'm very hopeful that more and more innovators will be able to leverage our very unique ecosystems like it, that don't just PowerPoint the design thinking meme, that actually live in the space of design, the space of art, the history of art, the creation of art, the desire to make art just for the sake of making art. This fabric is not just with our students, it pervades our staff as well. Is Jenny Dunleavy here? Jenny runs our dining facility in campus, and I was walking into the cafeteria on the weekend, and there's this weird machine. Looks like a Tron video game box with a graphic. It says Aussie. Like, what is this thing? What is the Aussie? I never heard of an Aussie. And our people designed a new way to, the problem in dining facilities is you have these trays and dishes, and people always steal them or throw them away. So they designed this system, a reusable container system with a barcode that you sort of put a deposit in, you put the thing in, and out comes a quarter. I said, how'd you make this? Oh, we just made it. We have 5 on site now. These are strange things happening. They're innovations. I don't understand them, but they're happening on campus. They're not traditional tech innovations, but they integrate technology in a very matter-of-fact kind of way. Other happenings, very strange happenings. Keitaro over there, Japanese visitor from Morisawa, is now on campus for a year as a person in residence at RISD to study what art and design is about. Their company, Morisawa, if you're Japanese or from China, you'll know their company. They are the premier type company in Japan. If you see a Japanese piece of type, it's them. Their story is a RISD-like story. They make type by hand. Not easy. Remember, A to Z, 26 plus times 2, et cetera, whatever, 100-something characters. Japanese, 10,000 plus characters, all made by hand. Each font, each weight, all done by master craftsmen. One typeface taking sometimes 4 to 7 years, one weight. They still do it that way, and people think they're crazy. But it's an example of the devotion to craft, the devotion to making, something that doesn't make any business sense, still stands the test of time. I believe these kinds of practices, if brought into more companies, can look long-term, live long-term, just by taking a lens to the world of art, the world of design, the world of craft, the world of making things again with your hands and feeling it. That spirit is alive on my campus. It's alive around the world in different pockets. I hope you will go out and reach out and engage those communities. Do not support them in that sense of we need help. Go and engage those communities and gain something from them. There's so much to gain from them. I hope you'll reach out to art and design in a new way and change your innovative futures. Thank you.